Hello Summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Nathan Ng and today we'll be discussing 10 of the best champion synergies in League of Legends. These champions have highly valuable combinations in their abilities, or in some cases just have some kind of cheesy gimmick that's hard to deal with. But before we get started though, our question of the day is, what's your favorite combination between champions? Let us know your answers in the comments down below. If you're lucky enough to have a duo partner, send this video to them for some free gains. If you're not getting those quarantine gains, send this video to your duo partner and let's go ahead and get right into it. Our first champion synergy is just two of the worst champions to deal with in the bot lane, Draven and Pike. They combine their money-based passives to make sure that they're absolutely rolling in gold. Draven stacks his passive whenever he last hits or catches axes. When Draven finishes off a kill, he cashes in all of his passive stacks in exchange for a proportional amount of gold. Suffice it to say, Draven loves kills as much as he loves himself, and as much as I love it, if you guys follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nathan_ING. Pike's entire champion kit is designed around killing, so they fit together pretty well, especially since Pike's ult executes enemies and gives credit to whoever heard the kill most recently, which counts towards proccing Draven's passive. Not only does Draven receive all of the gold that he stacked up for this passive, but he also receives the gold from Pike's ult passive while Pike receives the standard kill gold. So between the two of them, they collect enough money to form a bot lane aristocracy that makes Scrooge McDuck look like a broke boy, and make me, who is a broke boy, look like an even broker boy. Next up on our list is Kalista and Tomek. Kalista's ultimate makes it so that she's able to pull whichever ally that she's bonded with her black spear. On the other side of the equation, Tomek has a neat little ability to, eat enemies. Normally, when Tomek eats an enemy, he loses a ton of his movement speed, so he can't really take enemies very far when he eats them. With Kalista on the other hand, Tom can eat an enemy, and then Kalista can ult him with the enemy still in his stomach. This drags them both back to Kalista, and then Tom is free to launch himself even further back before he has to spit the enemy out. Whether his new location is under the tower or in the middle of his own team is up to him, but either way the enemy is in for a bad trip, and with Kalista Tom, every meal is to go. The third synergy on our list is between Shen and Rengar. Shen's ultimate lets him shield an ally and appear right next to them. Rengar's ultimate, lets him turn invisible, gains movement speed, and then he gets to drop on whoever his ultimate reveals to him. Rengar can usually use this to assassinate any squishy unfortunate enough to be caught on their own. But sometimes his targets do this weird thing where they value their lives and huddle up with the teammates for protection. This is where Shen comes in. When Rengar ults and a squishy sees the icon pop over their head, their team will generally try to turn it into an ambush and surprise Rengar. But the way Shen's ult works is that if he activates it on an ulting Rengar, the enemy can't see that Shen coming in too. So they'll just end up ambushing themselves. Rengar goes in to delete a target, and then Shen pops up alongside him and then clears the path. And then, they just get out fine and dandy and with a few new trophies for Rengar. A few patches ago, Riot changed Nami's E ability so that it no longer only procced off of auto attacks, but could also be triggered off abilities as well. While this was a small buff to marksmen since it would just let them rattle off all three charges a little bit faster, it was more of a significant buff for Nami's mage teammates, but especially for Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia doesn't have any dashes of her own, so she relies on chasing people down. When Cassio lands an empowered E, it gives her movement speed. When Nami's E gets triggered, it slows down the enemy and then she deals a little bit of damage. On top of that, thanks to Nami's passive, any ally that she casts an ability on gets bonus movement speed. So when Nami's working together with Cassio, the DPS and movement speed is kind of insane. If you want a little more zoom, you can add Phase Rush into the mix on Cassio. But Conqueror is another popular choice as well. What can I say? The Snake and the Mermaid both scale pretty well. Our next synergy on the list is the infamous funneling booster strat between Tamer and Yi. First of all, this is so strong that it cannot not be on the list, but also so ridiculous that I don't really condone it. Master Yi has some of the highest damage output in the game if he can survive long enough to do it. Everyone always says the answer to Master Yi is just hard CC, and they're right. You should try to kill him while he can't move, but it's awfully hard to kill him when Tarek's ult makes him invincible. Tarek's ult prevents any damage from coming in for a few seconds, and that's all the time he needs to delete a champion or two and then shut the rest of the team when he comes out of it. Sometimes when people run this crime against the Rift strategy, they'll also throw in Morg or Yuumi to make Yi even more unkillable. But the primary power comes from Taric making Yi invincible and then buffing him with armor and healing. The sacrifice here is that you have to live with the emotional shame of playing Taric Yi, but then again, if you're playing this combo, you probably already have no dignity. One of the more fun-based synergies in this game is centered around turning your friendly neighborhood Hecarim into a Predator missile. Hecarim's passive makes him deal more damage the faster that he's going. Hecarim can go pretty fast on his own to up his damage, and most Hecarims choose to take Ghost for the same reason. If they really want to double down, then they could take Predator as well, but regardless of the build, any Hecarim can benefit from an enormous boost in movement speed that Zilean can provide. With 5 points in Zilean E, he can increase Hecarim's movement speed by 99%, which essentially makes Hecarim the ultimate drive-by champion. If you blink when a Hecarim is approaching you and all its movement speed is turned on, you'll probably be dead before your eyelids come back up. As if that weren't enough, Zilean can place a bomb on Hecarim for an extra little pop of damage if they can time it right. Olaf and Yuumi isn't exactly a secret after it became so popular in the pro scene, but it deserves a spot on this list. Olaf is one of the strongest early champions in the game, and the only reason he's considered to fall off is the fact that he basically has to go and int in the late game to see any kind of success. With Yuumi on top of Olaf, that's not really the case anymore. If Olaf can get Conquer taken on top of his W's increased to all heal he receives, Yuumi can also make him unkillable with his ult that makes him unstoppable. Aside from a turbo healing Olaf, she also even makes him faster so he can be even more impossible to keep off your backline. Even if the enemy does have enough damage to kill Olaf through Yuumi healing, Yuumi can just pop ult and keep them in place while Olaf does what he does best, the unbridled slaughter of carries. Sejuani and Braum are the next up on this list due to their stuns aligning with each other. Sejuani's stun is in her E, and after 4 successful melee attacks are made against a target, she can activate her E to stun a target and then deal bonus damage against them. Braum's stun, on the other hand, is based off 4 auto attacks in general. Any target Qs or Braum's auto attack gets marked for the stun, and once the 4th auto connects, then they're just locked down. This synergy doesn't really come online until teamfights break out, but due to Braum's ability to apply his passive to multiple targets and Sejuani's low cooldown reduction on her E, it's incredibly easy to rattle off multiple stuns per fight since they stack so well. As soon as the target is free from Braum's stun, Sejuani can follow it up and then keep them locked down longer with little to no counterplay. It's like you finish up your Braum stun and think, finally, I'm free. But then Sejuani stuns you too and you think, well, I guess not. Not free at all. Kinda sucks. This is my ranked game. It's my promos. Yasuo and Gragas have a long and illustrious history of being used together as a source of free Yasuo ults, and it's pretty straightforward. But since this is targeted toward Yasuo players, then we'll just keep the 2 syllables or less. Big man throw big barrel of liquid, knock bad guys into the air. Swordman presses R and then does a lot of damage to bad guys. While Swordman keeps bad guys in the air doing the hurt, Big man body slams and then throws more barrels, doing more damage. Big ouchies. Good combos and use. They made me say that, by the way. Our final big synergy pair is Kiana and Rumble, for the raw power that you get from combining their ultimates. Kiana's ultimate lets her push anyone in front of her into the nearest terrain, sending them and detonating the rest of the piece of terrain to do a huge damage and stun anyone near it. When Kiana lands her ult, Rumble activates his ult along the surface of the terrain Kiana ulted, stacking the damage and basically ensuring the enemy takes every absurd tick of monstrous damage that Rumble's ult does while it slows them. This combo of abilities makes team fights almost insurmountable for the enemy, especially when they're fighting in choke points. Now with that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. There are some really fun combinations here. If you guys want to try them online with your friends, then go ahead and do it. I mean, I totally recommend it. And if you don't have anybody to try it out with, then you could probably try it out with me. My IGN is N8DGR8. Add me on League of Legends, and I'll see you guys on the Rift and in the comment section down below.